Assassin's Creed Odyssey has an absolutely gigantic world, and with a world that big, you know it's going to be filled with a ton of different Easter eggs. And for this list, we just wanted to point out some of our favorites so far. Today on gameranx, here are some of the Easter eggs, secrets, and references that we think you need to check out. Starting off at number 10, this first one is a really nice potential reference to the larger series. Credit where credit's due, it looks like YouTube user VIP Pyro was one of the first to spot it. During a present-day cutscene, a conversation between Layla Hassan and Alana Ryan can go down, where they talk about why they're doing what they're doing. Alana refers to her love of history and Assassin's Creeding stuff, in part thanks to her grandfather's story of his grandfather, a sailor, and adventure in Ireland. At first thought, you might immediately assume that's Shay Cormac, the main guy from the underrated AC Rogue. Layla also goes on to say you make your own luck, like Alana always says, and that's one of Shay's biggest quotes. Funny enough, not to actually, but technically Shay was born in New York to Irish immigrant parents and spent a lot of his time not in Ireland. But we know he's been there, and after AC Rogue, he continued on living and adventuring, so we're still gonna count this one as a win. And moving on to number 9, as is the case with many games, the developers of Assassin's Creed Odyssey got creative with the naming of their trophies and achievements, even dropping a few outside references here and there. Most notably, we have This is Sparta, which you get for completing the opening Battle of Thermopylae. There's also Harder, Better, Faster, Stronger, a reference to the Daft Punk track of the same name, which you get for buying your first ship upgrade, as well as Are You Not Entertained, which you get for competing in the arena and is a very straightforward Gladiator reference. I'm sure there are some other ones buried in there that we're too dumb to notice, but it's always fun to see what references the devs choose to slip into their achievements and trophy list. At number 8, on the summit of Mount Taygetos, at the highest point in the game world, Cassandra and Alexios will comment on the view, but will completely overlook the Easter egg hidden in plain sight. Right there on the summit is a chunk of stone with a sword embedded right in it. You can't interact with it and it can't be removed, but it's a clear reference to the sword in the stone in the King Arthur legend. Coming in at number 7, the game's starting point has a massive stone Zeus Monument as the first sync point, and if you happen to dangle off the statue's Pangus, your character will give a little comment like, "Oh, I probably shouldn't be climbing here," or something to that effect. It's a totally minor, dumb goof just thrown in there, but we thought it was kind of funny and definitely worth mentioning. That said, it's a little disappointing that there are no butt jokes if you climb up the backside instead. Really seems like a huge missed opportunity. And at number 6, on Naxos Island, just due south of Zeus Cove, you'll find a donkey head on the beach near a bunch of food and water. This seems to be referencing the philosophical paradox of Buridan's ass, which is a hypothetical situation where a donkey that is equally thirsty and hungry is placed directly in between ample hay and water, and being unable to choose as both are equally close. It can't choose, and it dies. It's a weird reference to have in a game like this, but I mean, we've sure seen weirder and more obscure, so it's not the least bit surprising. Moving on to number 5, so there's a bunch of skins you can get for your horse Phobos, but one epic level skin you can acquire straight up turns into a unicorn, complete with a purple horn and rainbow trails coming off the hooves when galloping through the game world, killing wolves or whatever it is you exactly do. There's no quest or anything involved to get it. You can get the skin from various blacksmith shops out in the world, and it'll run you 6,400 drachmae. The skin selections seem to come and go, so you may have to bounce around a few shops to get it, but once you find it, it's definitely worth picking up since it's so weird and a fun option to ride around the world with. Moving on to number 4, Assassin's Creed Odyssey has some pretty good out of Animus Easter eggs that are worth taking a look at. First off, there's a rabbit statue sitting on a shelf that Layla doesn't really seem to know how to react to. And then on the opposite side of the loft, you'll find a set of night vision goggles that look very similar to Sam Fisher's iconic goggles, and when interacting with them, Layla says they look like 3rd or 4th echelon goggles. You can also look at Big Ben from the loft window, and Layla wonders if the Fry twins would recognize a modern day London. The Fry twins being Jacob and Evie Fry, the 2 assassins you play as in Assassin's Creed Syndicate. Evie can also be unlocked as a lieutenant for your ship via the Uplay Club, just a heads up. It's always cool to see characters from other games in the series being referenced, but can we talk about Sam Fisher's goggles for a second? Is this Ubisoft just being cute, or are we maybe getting a Splinter Cell announcement soon? And does Splinter Cell take place in the same universe as Assassin's Creed? I just have so many questions. Moving on to number 3, on focus in the center of Grand Mount Parnassus, you'll find the Cave of Kratos, which you may think is a God of War Easter egg, but it really isn't, that the Spartan traitor took the Persians through to win the Battle of Thermopylae. It's here where Leonidas gave his life fighting off the Persians. When walking through the past, Cassandra or Alexios mentions feeling like a traitor of Sparta just for walking through it. Most may see Cave of Kratos and think that they're about to walk into a God of War Easter egg, but instead they're getting a really cool history lesson. Also, when you walk out of the cave on the other side, you do come out to a very beautiful view, definitely very screenshot worthy. Coming in at number 2, on the island of Masara, there's a sink point located in the middle of the island called Gorton Waterfall. When you arrive there, you may notice that it looks very familiar. That's because it's referencing the ceremonial fight from Black Panther. You know, the one where T'Challa has his power stripped away to fight both M'Baku and Killmonger. Obviously, it's not as big and grand as it is in the movie. There's only a few people watching 2 random dudes fighting in the water. But the animations are really cool because these 2 NPCs were specifically animated to fight like this. It's not just 2 dudes throwing fists. They're like wrestling for real. But yeah, this is just a really cool little Easter egg. And if you wanted to, you could be a jerk and Spartan kick both the NPCs off of the waterfall, but I don't think you get the power of the Black Panther for doing so. Finally, at number 1, if you find yourself near Malice, make sure to hit up Pandora's Cove. At the tip of it, you'll find a cool little Easter egg that references one of the last year's biggest open world games. If you make your way to the very top of the island, you'll find a little circle of rocks with a tiny statue in the middle of it that has a leaf on its head. This is an obvious reference to the Koroks in Breath of the Wild. Sadly, there's no way to interact with this, so you don't get a little jingle or dance or anything like that, but it is cool to see that Ubisoft is keeping up their relationship with Nintendo and putting in cool little Zelda Easter eggs in Odyssey. And those are some of the Easter egg secrets and references that we think you need to check out. But we want to hear from you, so meet us down in the comments and let us know what you think. If there are any other Easter eggs or references or secrets that you guys may have discovered that we didn't, please leave them down in the comments below to share with everyone else. As I'm sure you already know, hitting the like button really helps us out, and if you're new here, subscribing is a good idea because we put out videos like this every single day. As always, thank you for taking the time to stop by and hang out with us. We really appreciate it, and we'll see you next time right here on gameranx.